Good morning, every pony. I am once again here with Project Moon and mahoyaku pairs that I think would be funny. Why am I doing this again? I don't know. Last night I made the PowerPoint and then proceeded to not record the video until this morning. I was going to do this about 4 hours earlier when I woke up in a cold sweat because I had a really bad nightmare that proceeded to throw me into a really bad BPD episode. But I didn't, because I was cross-examining myself, as one does. By the way, if you have mental illness, don't try to study for the LSAT, because you will be cross-examining yourself and not letting yourself feel the emotions you probably should feel. And it was really a funny time. Also, that might just be the meds talking. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna start off with Kane and the Kanto 3 trio. I think this one is the most self-explanatory, personally, just because bro's name is Kane. I know they say Kine because, like, katakana, but his name is Kane, okay? Like, man, look at him. He also just, like, looks really good next to them. If I'm allowed to say that, look at him. He is just, like, gorgeous. No, not he himself. I mean, next to them. I swear, trust, okay? And also, like, listen, hear me out. Having Kane next to the Kanto 3 trio, having Kane in the Kanto 3 trio, turning it into the Kanto 3 quartet, it would make for some great potential for some really, really, really great yaoi. You know, they would look at Sinclair and be like, oh my god, Sinclair, you have the mark of Kane, and Sinclair would be like, whoa there, cowboy, he didn't do anything to me, I don't know where that's coming from. And they'd be like, Sinclair, nobody brought that up, you are assuming things, unless you're insinuating to something with Kane Knightley mahoyaku. And he would be like, kya, Damien. Yeah, and that's my fanfiction of the day. No, it's not. There will be more, unfortunately. This is a promise and a threat. Second of all, Ricardo and Chloe. Look at them. They would be besties. They would be homies. Look at them. Look at their hair. Look at their color schemes. Look at Chloe's eyes, and then look at Ricardo's everything else. They would be homies. They would meet in a salon one day. Ricardo would, like, look at Chloe and be like, oh my god, I love the color of your hair. And Chloe would be like, oh my gosh, I love the color of your hair. Wow, we're matching. Oh my gosh, we should be homies. And that's where it would start. That's where it would start. I don't know where it would go past there, because Chloe would not like it if Ricardo was killing people on his behalf. But you know what? They're homies. They would like each other, okay? Trust me on this one, okay? Next up, Rike and Yuri. This one is a little more serious in my justifications, just because I think, like, you know, they have some interesting parallels going on here with them being stuck in a situation that they quite couldn't get out of, just because they didn't really have any other way out. Rike with the cult, Yuri with Lobotomy Corporation, and then through means completely out of their control, they ended up getting out anyways, with Rike being summoned, oh my god, I can't speak, being summoned by the sage, and Yuri, well, the burial, which was really awkward, but, you know, and so they have to navigate through their new world, and while Yuri is not having a good time, Rike is having a wonderful time. So if they met, I feel like Rike could teach Yuri something about the wonders of life, you know, the happiness, the small things, you know, be like, hey Yuri, do you like chocolate, you know? They would be not quite homies, because Rike can be a little bit mean at times. But, you know, it would be cute, okay? And also, even if he was mean, he's like 16, Yuri is a grown-ass woman. Like, he cannot do anything that would be meaningful to... She also experienced all of her friends dying, the burial. Like, he cannot do anything to her. Anyways, Tifereth and Snow. Mind you, I mean specifically the Lobotomy Corporation Tifereth and not Library of Ruina Tifereth. However, she will be brought up in this discussion. They both have a dead sibling, right? They both have a dead twin. However, Snow, he brought his back to life through magic. He effectively made his a ghost. If Tifereth ever found out that that could be a thing, she would be ruined. She would be messed up in the head. She would be like, oh my god, so you're telling me I can bring back Tifereth? And Snow would be like, listen up here, young child. No, you can't. And Tifereth would be like, what do you mean, young child? We are like the same age. And Snow would be like, actually, I'm 2,000 years old. And she'd be like, oh, that's really awkward. Why do you look like that? And he'd be like, I don't know. My magic peaked when I was like 12. And Tifereth would be like, oh. back to the thing about the sibling coming back to life, and Snow would be like, nuh-uh, that's not good. You know, when I was your age, no, not when I was your age, but he would be like, you know, my brother died because I killed him, you know, because he tried to separate from us, and well, I tried to actually separate us because I was like, wow, I'm never gonna experience loneliness because I'm a twin. What if we like separated for a little, you know, just to experience what loneliness is for like the first time ever. And my brother was like, he went cuckoo, he went crazy, and he tried to kill me, but I killed him back, and then I felt really bad about it. And Tiff would be like, why are you telling me this? I don't even know who you are. And Snow would be like, tee-hee-hee, I'm an old man. Mind you, this is in fact the thing that happens. He literally trauma dumps this to you like chapter 3 of the main story in the game, or like episode 1 or 2 of the anime. He, like, you just learned his name, and now he's telling you his life story, okay? I don't know, the twins in these projects are always up to something, you know? Anyways. I don't think I need to elaborate on this one. Just note that Figaro is the only one who gets a card instead of a PNG in this slideshow. I'm not gonna elaborate any further on this. Moving on. Linton and Heathcliff. I'm really glad that so many other people were jump scared by this Heathcliff, just because, like, look at him. That is not my Heathcliff. That is not a Heathcliff. Like, bruh, why do you look like that if you are named Heathcliff? The only Heathcliff, like, the only other Heathcliff I've seen that wasn't, like, stark white is the freaking cat. And I don't even know the context behind that, but it's like, man, I think I just need to get more into Wuthering Heights adaptations. Do I want to get more into Wuthering Heights adaptations? No, not really. Speaking of Wuthering Heights adaptations, Heathcliff, he is more of a Linton rather than Heathcliff, okay? Let me just say that now. He's, if anything, he's more of a Catherine Earnshaw. However, we can lump him in to Linton here. Oh my god, I'm getting all my names mixed up. It's really bad. Also, I'm just saying, because of their noble status, at some point they would meet. Assuming they were in the same universe, they would have to meet at some point, with Heathcliff being a noble of the Eastern country and Linton being some really, really rich guy for some reason. Like, and then, you know, a butler would go up to Linton and be like, hey, Linton, there's a guy named Heathcliff here to see you. And Linton would be like, no, I hate Heathcliff. Get him out. I don't want to see him. And then they would come in and he'd be like, you are not Heathcliff. Who are you? You are so much more, for lack of a better word, desirable than Heathcliff. And Heathcliff would be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm Heathcliff. And I don't know. I feel like they would kind of squabble about that a little bit. Either way, like, Heathcliff literally looks like a younger version of Linton. He looks like a slightly more joyful, youthful Linton. Like, he makes me mad. Anyways, before I start rambling into territory that I shouldn't dare touch because I don't have many resources at my disposal, not disposable right now. Oh my god, I should have got more sleep. Mur and Yisong, they are both philosophers. They are both cats, except Mur is more of a gremlin cat who will try to scratch you if you just try to pet him, and Yisong is more of a sopping wet cat left outside the front door in a cardboard box. Yisong would start waxing poetic, and Mur would like say something somewhat relevant, and then immediately after he'd be like and then do like a backflip, and Yisong would be really confused. He's used to Don Quixote shenanigans. He is not used to Merheart shenanigans. Moving on, Hopkins and Vincent. I hate both of them. I honestly do. I really hate Hopkins. I really hate Vincent. They both have their own prejudices against people who are quite disenfranchised from the rest of society, just because of something they couldn't control. Hopkins with Yuri, who, you know, survived Lobotomy Corporation, and Vincent with the Wizards, who, you know, they couldn't quite choose to become wizards, but okay. And also there's Vincent's whole thing with Arthur, literally just this random 17-year-old who, mind you, got abandoned when he was 4. It is a miracle he's even alive. Like, thank God he got picked up by Oz, because he should not be alive, okay? I don't know how they thought, yeah, let's go back and try to, like, find that 4-year-old we abandoned in the woods, like, all those years ago. I don't know how they thought he would be alive, but that's besides the point. Vincent, he is beefing with his own kin. His own kin, who is also a minor and maybe neurodivergent. Like, you can't do that, Vincent. And Hopkins, he has no right to be treating Yuri the way he does. Therefore, because they're so mean and ugly and I hate them, they would get along great. Honestly, if they got along really, really well, maybe, just maybe, Vincent wouldn't be so bitter towards Arthur, you know? Maybe he'd be like, hey Arthur, sorry for treating you like a piece of garbage. I found someone who I love a lot. This is Yaoi, by the way. This is the age gap Yaoi the kids be talking about. He'd be like, I found someone who I care for a lot, and so I leave the fate of Central Kingdom to you, as is your birthright. And Arthur would be like, oh my gosh, Vincent, where did this change of heart come from? And then Hopkins would pop out and be like, good evening, nephew. And that's where it would end. Moving on, before I get more fanfiction-y about this, Nothing There and Owen. I know I've had a bunch of repeat characters here. I know that. I acknowledge that. We already had Figaro and Heathcliff in this presentation, even though they were already presented already in the last one. However, Nothing There and Owen. Owen can communicate with Beast. Can he communicate with abnormalities? That is up in the air. Maybe not. Maybe he could. I just noticed, by the way, I don't sorry, I got really distracted. This like green thing inside Nothing There's like stomach looks like a dinosaur. Sorry, I really like dinosaurs, but that's besides the point. I kind of forgot where I was going, but Owen, yeah, he can communicate with Beast. Can he communicate with abnormalities? I don't know. Nobody knows, because, you know, that's like based off the human consciousness. Like, who knows? And so that's why Nothing There, I think, would intrigue him so much. He'd be like, something so grotesque is also technically part of the human, like, mind. Like, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, Nothing There, you are my Oshi. He would say that word for word. He'd be like, Nothing There is my Oshi. And he would make an eat-a-bag of Nothing There. No, he wouldn't. Actually, if you think about it hard enough, that briefcase he carries around kind of is like an eat-a-bag. Except instead of like pins and like cute charms, he has like a whole dog in there. He would try to put Nothing There in it too. He'd be like, can you fit inside this briefcase so I can study you further? And Nothing There would be like, hello? And then they would fight, and then Nothing There would kill Owen a few times, and Owen would love every single second of it, and then he would like respawn, and they would fight again, and then Owen would get tired and leave. Yep, that's my headcanon. Do what you will with that information. Anyways, moving on to the final pairing, the three idiots and Dante. Dante already has to deal with 12 idiot sinners. Surely they can deal with 3 idiot wizards, right? Can they? I don't know. You're dealing with like 3 of the most powerful wizards in the Mahoyaku universe. Like, who knows? And also therein lies the issue of also, you know, they can't understand Dante. I feel like Mithra maybe could, but Owen and Bradley probably not. Like, if anyone's going to understand Dante, it's going to be Mithra, it's going to be Figaro, Oz, Snow White. Nobody else, I believe. Maybe the Great Sage. Maybe Akira could. But Akira is not part of this conversation. Akira is, in fact, part of the last conversation. So now we're focusing on Mithra, Owen, and Bradley. I still hate that his name is Bradley. I also hate, like, how he looks. Sorry, Bradley stans. I hate his outfit. I don't know what's going on. It just kind of looks goofy. I can't say that because everyone in Mahoyaku looks kind of goofy a little bit, but that's part of their charm. So actually, maybe I do get it a little bit. Okay? Sorry, Bradley fans. Back to the topic at hand. They would try to like create some kind of plan to maybe steal Dante's head, or like take Dante into questioning, maybe even kill Dante, right? And Dante would be like, guys, I can hear you. And Mithra, being the only one who could understand Dante, would not reveal this information until like 3 days later, and they would like respond to something Dante said very specifically, and Dante would be like, wait, you can hear me? And Mithra would be like, yeah. So yeah, the 3 idiots and Dante, they would be a pair. I don't know, and Dante would be like, shuckaroonies, as they try to kill them, and Dante like dodges and survives via the magical force of plot armor. And that's all I have for today. Sorry if it wasn't as interesting as the last one. However, I did come up with these while I was like half asleep, while I was procrastinating more work. Thankfully it was before the breakdown, otherwise who knows what I would have come up with. Shout out to my boy Figaro. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. My lack of an outro has become an outro. Thank you for watching and goodbye.